Steel Curtain Network.
What is up, Steeler fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Steelers Preview. I am Jeff Hartman, and this time the triumphant trio returns. Last week, Dave was on vacation, and so he is back. But with me, as always, Bryan Davis. Dave, go ahead and say hello first.
Hello, everybody. It's nice to be back. I did my best to be there and chime in and be a part of the live chat last week while I was getting ready to get the kids down to the pool and in the water park where we were staying. And I got to the end of the show and was listening about, Steelers wearing the number 3 and stuff like that. And I realized I'm standing here at the edge of a lazy river watching the kids when I could be sitting in a hot tub. So I just stopped and just said, yeah, it's hot tub time.
Yeah, I mean, I got to be honest. If I miss a show, I'm not listening. Not live. I'll check it the next day, but I'm not listening live. But Bryan, he was here last week. What's up, Bryan?
I'd rather sit in a hot tub with Dave as well than be on a show with
on location. There we go.
So
Steelers Preview Road Show.
There we go. Maybe if we can get a there we go. We'll get a sponsorship with some kind of hot tub or whatever you call it.
You all go there. I will stay here and do it remote. How's that sound?
That sounds good. We'll send
all
pics.
Right.
Plenty of them.
So this 7:30 time is probably going to be more often than not when we're going to actually have our podcast go live. For those that are curious, I know we've had some crazy times the past few months, and we thank you for bearing with us. 7:30 is pretty much going to be when we go live. I do apologize for being a little bit late. Montravius Adams was signed to a 2-year contract, and so I had
reportedly.
I had to quickly type that up, and so that is why it's a little bit late. So apologize for that. But Dave, let's do some knee-jerk reactions to that move since it just happened. Montravius Adams comes back. What's your thoughts and feelings?
Well, as I am being the numbers and cap guy, I'm going to want to see what the contract is for. I was fine with the Steelers bringing back Montravius Adams, but in all honesty, my preferred person was Armon Watts because I felt he was the Steelers' second best defensive lineman last year behind Keanu Benton. So I would have, if I had to choose between Watts and Adams, I would have taken Watts. But
did you ever see? Because I even went back and looked at the tweet. I think it was Adam Schefter that wrote that Armon Watts went to the New England Patriots. I have yet to see how much money or years to his deal. Did you ever see that?
I didn't, but I wasn't looking for it because it wasn't Steelers. But I can see if it's out there.
I was curious because that sounded to me like they probably got outpriced. Just like with Calvin Ridley, who they were interested in. Next thing the Tennessee Titans give him a deal that's off the charts compared to probably what the Steelers valued him at, and that's why he goes. Did you see that? Did you have that, Dave? Or no?
It's I got the little rainbow wheel going, trying to find.
I got it. I actually have it. 1-year deal worth $3 million.
That's it for Armon Watts.
That's what I'm reading.
Son of
no joke. I'm at over the cap, and it's just sitting there chugging away, just not loading anything.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Bryan, Montravius Adams is back, 2-year deal. What do you think about that?
I'm fine with it. Here's the great thing is you still have experience on that line, and you have some young bucks on that line too. So it's not a bad thing. It's it's great to have that experience there.
I think that I look at a lot of these players coming back, Montravius Adams being the first one of the Steelers' own free agents, I view it as it's just an insurance policy. If they can't get the player they want, Montravius Adams has shown position flexibility along the defensive line, nose tackle by trade, but not really the run stuffer that you want in the middle. I'm not against this move. I think that this move ultimately is it kind of makes sense in a lot of ways, but I don't think they're done at the position. And that's kind of the crux of this entire podcast, was talking about how there are still, in terms of roster positions, there's a lot of holes remaining on both sides of the football. And the Steelers' moves that were made, you go back all the way to Russell Wilson. You can talk about the punter. That's obviously a roster spot that was been filled. Not going to need to address that again, hopefully. Long snapper and Christian Kuntz coming back on a 3-year deal. Miles Killebrew, another special teams ace, 2-year deal. I think Danny Smith's got to be ecstatic after those 2 signings, 2 special teamers that are going to be back in the fold. Dave, when you're thinking about the roster, where we sit right now, and this can obviously change as Adams' contract became public like 3 minutes ago. What position sticks out to you on either side of the ball that you're like, man, this is still an area where I'm not very comfortable with where the Steelers sit as of where we are right now in free agency?
Oh, that's easy. Well, if you're looking, I mean, if you want to look at offensive line by individual positions, then that might change things. I won't say that position because I'll let you guys bring it up. But if you're looking at it as a whole, that makes it different, which then makes my number one priority. That's wide receiver. They are really thin.
It's going to be mine. That would have been my number one. Yeah.
It's really close to the one where they don't have anybody at the position. But you need a lot of wide receivers, and the Steelers got rid of number 2 and number 3 from last year. Now, number 3 could maybe be coming back. I said this, you know what? I think I might have said it to the Pump Your Brakes guys where I had to jump on at the end of their show to take care of some back end timeouts, if you know what I mean, during of the live chat getting awful rowdy. Okay. So I ended up talking to those guys after the show was over. And that's where I think I might have said, I'm not a big fan of the trade right now, because the Steelers took on more salary cap. I don't think they answered the questions at corner, and they aren't better at wide receiver. So they have to do moves to make that trade make more sense. So they've got to have something more. I thought they'd have something. It's been about 48 hours now since the trade. I thought they'd have something at wide receiver within the next 48 hours.
I'm going to say something before I throw it to Bryan, because I just want to get it out there. I am 100% okay with the trade. 100%. 1,000%, even though you can't go over 100%. Still, I all the things that you said, Dave, are 100% factual. They are thin at wide receiver. They're not in a better salary cap position. But do you know what I think they got rid of?
Better on the field. Yeah,
I know.
Yes,
they got rid of They got rid of a freaking headache, is what they got rid of. Yes. And he's going into a contract.
They wouldn't have traded him.
Yeah, he's going into a contract year. You know what was going to happen at Latrobe? Was he going to hold out? Is he going to hold in?
It made no sense for him to hold in.
But he did it already. He did it once already.
Yeah, but that was the end of a rookie deal versus getting the big money. He would have had the big money.
Deontay Johnson values himself up there with Justin Jefferson. He doesn't belong in that stratosphere, but yet that's what he views himself. No. I guarantee you the Steelers saw where this was going. Deontay Johnson probably said, just let me go. And they said, fine, just go. We'll just go. Bryan, what's your take on it? I'm talking about off the field stuff. Dave talked about on the field. It's not that Dave disagrees.
I agree completely with you off the field, Jeff. And I'm going to say that this is a better move on the field. And here's why. This makes George Pickens less of a headache too. I have a feeling that a lot of the negativity, there was a lot of negativity in the wide receiver room. We had a source call the other day, Jeff, and I did a show. And we went ahead. I'm not trying to pat ourselves on the back, but we went ahead and said a couple days before this happened, or a day and a half before this happened, that the Steelers are looking at listening to offers for Deontay Johnson.
Right.
Now, remember the fact that Jerry Jeudy just went for a 5 and a 6. And there's things about this that make me happy. I love this move, and I'm going to tell you why. The first reason I love this move is because I keep going back to that game in November in Cincinnati when there's a fumble and he's pouting and walking off the field. That's all you need to know.
The play after he dropped a touchdown.
Yes. And when the organization is saying that they want a refresh of that wide receiver room, that means that's a nice way to say that, hey, we need to change the culture in that wide receiver room. You're not going to get rid of George Pickens, but you're probably going to give him a veteran and bring somebody in. Maybe you bring back Allen Robinson. Maybe you bring in somebody else to pair with him. And remember what Arthur Smith's offense is. It's heavy on tight ends, and it's heavy on basically one wide receiver getting most of the looks. So with that, you were potentially going to have a lot more problems with Deontay Johnson this coming year and get nothing for him. Now, you cleared, it wasn't a wash with salary, right? Didn't they get back about $3-4 million, Dave?
No. So many people are messing up the numbers. It's not about the dead money. It's about money owed this coming season. Johnson is owed this coming season, whether it was base salary, roster bonus. Got to bring all that together because Johnston was due. He had from a bunch of different places. Where it sits right now, Deontay Johnson, it was $10 million, but for Jackson. I said Johnson.
Jackson.
That's the punter. Jackson. Yeah, I'm all that. These things are crazy. He was over 10.5, so they lost over 500,000 against the salary cap with this move. That's the biggest reason I don't like it. If you're going to lose Deontay Johnson and take a salary cap hit, yikes.
Well, here's the thing. As far as I'm concerned, what I'm going to pick on Dave again, not pick on, but I'm going to bring up something that he always says. What is a 7th round pick to Dave? A glorified, undrafted free agent is what it is. Now, you don't have a 5th round pick this year. You're getting a 6th round pick that is the 2nd pick in the 6th round. So just like last year, even though the Steelers didn't have 2 first-round picks, it felt like one with Joey Porter Jr. So you have that first pick, that 2nd pick in the 6th round. So it's a lot closer than getting number 20 in the 6th round. So you don't have to have that huge gap like you've done before when you don't have you don't have that 5th round pick. I like the Dante Jackson acquisition because that gives you some flexibility on defense. You can still draft somebody. You still have Trice. You can do some things. If I know who Omar Khan is and this entire organization, if I know who there's something up their sleeve. And remember about Isaac Seumalo. He didn't sign until Saturday or Sunday last year, and he was one of the cream of last year's free agent crop. So they've got some things going here.
Dave, you want to say something?
I want to jump in about 2 different things. One, fully expect Jackson to not go into this season with that number. I don't. I mean, look, they traded for Allen Robinson last year, redid his deal in a certain way. I don't know if it's an extension. There were void years on his contract, but that only affected Carolina. It's going to be something new for him. So I don't expect it to stay there. That's just where it is for now. That's one. But I'm going to ask you guys this question because they're like, oh, Deontay Johnson. Do you think they trade Deontay Johnson? If not only is it not did the Steelers have a new offensive coordinator, but they also have a new wide receivers coach. Is it one of those things that, hey, while we're changing things up, let's really make a change? Do you think that's what led to it as much as anything?
I think that the new coach came in and they probably said, Coach, we want you to look at what we have. Like, what are your thoughts? And if he looked at Deontay Johnson and maybe he met with Deontay Johnson, he might have said, look, this guy's got to go. He doesn't play the way that I like him to play. Maybe he's poisoning, I always think about Varsity Blues where Bud Kilmer, you're poisoning a team, son. I feel like maybe he was poisoning that wide receiver room. And that's why they wanted to freshen up, as our source told us. I think it all is a cumulative effect, and it led to Deontay Johnson's dismissal. Brian, what do you think?
I'm wondering too, if it had something to do with the comments at the end of the season's over and he's campaigning for Mason Rudolph. I'm wondering if that actually has something to do with it.
I was wondering that too. Yeah.
Basically saying, I don't want to play with Kenny. This is the quarterback I want to play with. Other people have done that. So I'm not saying that it was only him. He's been there a long time. He's in top 5 or 7 of Pittsburgh's all-time leading receivers.
Mm-hmm.
So the only thing that I'm saying is, I think he was a lot more of a problem. They pinpointed it, and this was not something they woke up on Monday and said, I think we should trade Deontay. That's a novel idea. I have a feeling as soon as he walked past that fumble in Cincinnati, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. But you can't cut him then.
Yeah. Dave, what are you going to say?
I have two last things I want to say about Diontae Johnson, and then he's not on the Steelers anymore, so we don't have to. One, you got to remember, I hated that pick from the very beginning.
You did.
Yeah,
You were the charter member of the
yeah.
the Diontae Johnson hate club. You were the charter member.
Which is so funny, because the other thing that frustrates me is last year, I actually, when we did our, this was the other thing I want to say about Diontae Johnson. When we did our Survivor contest, I had a signed Diontae Johnson football. Then I had the opportunity to get a signed Donnie Shell, and I did. And I said, Jeff, which one should we offer? Should we let him pick? Jeff says, oh, do the Donnie Shell. We'll find another giveaway with Diontae Johnson. Guess what's still sitting upstairs in my room in a box?
Do you know any Panthers fans?
A signed Diontae Johnson football.
This is what you do. Diontae Johnson is not far from Dante Jackson. Just,
Yeah, there's nothing on that says Steeler. I know.
Hey, give it to me and I'll put it behind me on a shelf. It'll be right there with the Mason Rudolph football.
Get a magic eraser.
I didn't realize that was up there. Yeah, I got to see. I have a mini helmet signed Diontae Johnson, but I also have one with Cam Hayward. So I got to make sure you got it.
Yeah. So I want to say this real quick too, is the 6th round draft pick that they got, and you talked about it a little bit. I think it was Bryan. That's trade fodder for someone like Omar Khan. He wants to jump up in the draft. Okay, we've got the 2nd pick in the 6th round. We'll dangle that carrot. Let's not forget that. I didn't realize, I had to look it up. I just totally realized they had 2 4th round picks and they don't have a 5th.
Because one's from the Rams.
And they're back to back.
And they're 19 and 20. That's going to be a nightmare on draft.
Yeah.
All right, I want to get
that's going to be probably right around 12:45 or so, would you say?
On Saturday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what makes it easier?
Then you got to wait for forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to wait forever, but you at least have the luxury of only doing one breaking news podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, for me, if it were up to me, I'd say Omar, trade all the 6th round picks, and we don't need a 5th, 6th, or 7th. Let's finish it after the 4th and be done with it. That would be awesome. I would love it.
Or do you want him to go Mike Ditka and just trade every pick and go get the first one?
No, I don't want that. Andrew Wilbar, fantasy football and NFL draft, our own Mel Kiper. He gave $1, and then he forgot to write anything.
Nope, I got it.
I know, it's right here. Amateur hour.
Oh,
you or me, Dave? Go ahead.
I told you I had it. It's because they won't let you write anything for less than I think $1.99.
Because it was going to purchase an ad plugging our draft show on FFSN, but I guess that cost $2, not $1. Come on, Andrew. I know you're a working man. You can pony up $2 to get an ad. I will go ahead and plug it for you, even though you didn't pay enough money. Basically, he and Jeremy Betts have been doing some really great work on the Fans First NFL feed. Find it anywhere you get your podcast by searching FFSN NFL. They do a draft show a week. Starting next week, they're going to be doing 2 divisions, and they're going to be breaking down 1 week at a time leading up to the NFL draft. There'll be separate podcasts. You can digest them at your own rate, and they will be talking about those. I think those will be out on Monday, so be on the lookout for those on the NFL feed. Thank you for the $1 tip, Andrew. We appreciate it. All right. I'll tell you what. Let's take a break. We're going to take an early break. We're going to come back. We're going to finish talking about some positions that we feel the Steelers still need to target heading into the rest of free agency. And then we'll talk about trivia and all that fun stuff. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after this break. All right, Steeler fans, welcome back. And for those that are watching live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, you didn't see us go anywhere because we didn't go anywhere. That's just for the audio side, and that's fine. Make sure you check out all of our audio-only podcasts wherever you get your podcasts, things like My Let's Ride, Brian's Bad Language. Dave Statgeek had a great episode this morning talking about all the numbers as it pertains to the new additions to the Steelers roster. And do us a favor. If you're on YouTube, if you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe. We're really close to 11,000. Really appreciate that. Like the videos. Coach KT Smith put out a phenomenal breakdown of Patrick Queen. Go check out that video on the YouTube channel live now. And if you're listening to this in audio form on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, give us a 5-star rating It does matter. It does help in the algorithms. So we do appreciate it. All right. So we talked about wide receiver. Let's talk about center. I'll bring out the other one.
Yeah.
Let's talk about center because the Steelers technically don't have a center on their roster. Yes, you can say that Nate Herbig has played center, and you can say that James Daniels has played center, and you can say that Isaac Seumalo, you get what I'm saying, has played center. But I wouldn't say any of those players are actually a center. Are there any options out there? And do you think the Steelers are going to make a move? Dave, what do you think?
I have no idea who's out there. Honestly, I don't.
No big name players.
No. And yeah, because the biggest names were gone. But I think this is what we're looking at. I think the reason the Steelers are being so patient is two reasons. One, I don't know that they want to spend a lot on the position. And two, they might be honest with who's coming in. And this is probably they probably told Mitch Morse how it was. Hey, because they met with him. This doesn't, if we're signing you, that does not keep us from taking a center high in the draft.
Yeah.
This might just be a placeholder until the next center is ready. So how much do you want to break the bank on a player that you know ultimately your goal is to replace them? If that's the route the Steelers are going, which a lot of people believe that that's where they're going draft-wise. Or the Steelers turn around, sign two more centers, and then next thing you know, that just completely falls off their list of draft needs. I don't see that happening at all. I think that's the focus that they're going with, that they have several options in the draft, but they got to have someone to get the job done because obviously the Steelers don't like playing their rookies in the first 3 to 4 games of the season to limit where they are, to not make it such a longer season than what they're used to in college so they don't run out of steam at the end of the year.
Okay. Before I throw it to you, Brian, hold on one sec. Hold that thought. Here are the available centers.
Okay, thank
you. According to Spot Rack, and this is
you're
as of this.
my thunder.
Oh, sorry. This is as of this being recorded. So I see one name. I'll let you read them off, Brian. But Bryan Allen is on there. He played for the Rams, 28 years old. Our source told us the Steelers were very interested in him and that he actually had a decent amount of interest in Pittsburgh. That could be an interesting piece of the puzzle. But Brian, I know you're looking at the same list. Anyone else jump off the screen at you?
No, I'm not looking at the list. I was all ready to spout off about Bryan Allen.
Oh, go ahead then. Do you want me to read more names before you go to
go ahead.
Brian?
No,
okay.
You can go and read.
So let's see here. Connor Williams, 26 years old, played with Miami. Bryan Allen. Bradley Bozeman, played with Carolina, 29 years old. A guy named Mason Cole, I don't think he's very good. Joe Feliciano, center from San Francisco, 32. Scott Quesenberry, Houston, 28. Connor McGovern, 30 from the Jets. And then you're talking about some guys, you're moving real far down the line now. Go ahead. Talk about Bryan Allen, Brian.
You know,
Allen.
He's only 28 years old. He's been in 2 Super Bowls. He's a Super Bowl champion. He was pretty solid for that team. I think this is the perfect addition, which whoever they bring in at center at this point is probably going to be a 2-year deal. So everybody that wanted those Mitch Morse and those big guys, Mitch Morse would have signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers if the money was right. The money wasn't going to be as good as what it was in Jacksonville. He came here first. I think he would have signed. But, you know, I'm looking at this, and Bryan Allen continues to be out there. I've been spouting off about him all week because, yeah, our source did talk about him. Source talked about somebody else that used to play with Kenny Pickett at Pitt, and then he was at Houston, and I cannot remember the guy's name.
Well, he got picked up on a future reserve contract for the Giants, so he's not even available.
Okay.
So if he gets cut for whatever reason, then he would become available, but he's not available.
But so, you know, I think you can get a guy like Bryan Allen for $5 million a year, possibly at this point in free agency, nearing the end of the week. So I really think that's great. And then you go ahead and look at somebody in the first or second round. I'm really high on Cedric Van Pran. Is it Von Pran or Van Pran?
Did he add another name at the end of that now too? I think he has another
SVP.
name at the end of Van Prawn Granger or something like that.
Oh,
I don't know.
Jeez.
maybe he's a
find
Harry
it.
Potter fan, Hermione Granger. I don't
I
know.
don't know if it's
Oh,
Granger. I thought
gosh,
it's a
Harry.
G R. I think.
Harry
I'll
Potter.
find it.
There we go.
I'm not sure, but I really like Cedric. I think he's somebody. Yeah, it looks like Andrew Wilbar says it. Pran Granger.
Granger or something. Yeah.
So wow. But there's some guys out there. You mentioned some others. The Connor Williams is another. I mean, he's 26. I like him a lot. They're cutting guys like crazy in Miami. That's a guy to look at, but I don't think he's going to be coming as cheap as a guy like Bryan Allen. So I could see that. I could even see one of those 30-year-old guys as well. McGovern was a guy that was 2 or 3 years ago. He was at the top of the free agent wish list for center. Because I remember I was doing the free agent lists for the digital side for articles, and he was a top center about 3 years ago. So I think right now you could go ahead and look at a guy like this and bring him in and know that he's a placeholder. And I think Omar Khan is doing a very good job. I think Mike Tomlin is doing a very good job in letting people. It's the Rock, Dwayne the Rock Johnson, knowing your role and shutting your mouth. I think they're saying that up front.
So to me, I agree with everything you're saying, Brian, about like the price and the contract and stuff. I think that we have to keep in mind the same conversation that we had about quarterbacks ad nauseum leading up to free agency in terms of what are they coming into? What situation are they walking into? What player who values themselves worth anything is going to want to go to Pittsburgh when everyone and their brother knows that they're going to draft a center at some point in this draft, whether it's first round, second round, who knows? I don't know too many guys that are going to be up for that are going to say, and that's probably Mitch Morse. He probably came to Pittsburgh and they said, look, we're not going to lie to you. We are going to draft a center in this draft. And this kid is going to be that guy eventually. And he probably said, look, I'm in the back half. I'm on the back 9 of my career. I'm not sitting behind a young kid. I don't want to mentor somebody. So, okay, it's not going to work out. Thank you. And they're going to try to find someone. I think the situation matters almost as much as money. These guys still want to play. They still want to play, and finding someone that is a stopgap, so to speak. Hell, that could have been why Mason Cole got released so early. He could have said, I want no part of this. If it's not going to be my job, I'm not tutoring someone. I don't know. That's just my take on it. Dave, what do you think?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying before, is that it might not be attractive if you know that the Steelers are being honest and saying, hey, we are looking in the draft at centers. Now, but that's the thing with the draft. There's no guarantees. There's no guarantees that who you want's going to be there. But there's a lot of options. So much more than they had back in 2021 when, I mean, I still projected the Steelers to take Creed Humphrey in round 1, and they could have had him in round 2 and they didn't take him.
And Landon Nickerson in that same draft.
Well, because they liked Kendrick Green, which, as we saw, that didn't work out. But I'll be honest with you, Kendrick Green, I still believe that wasn't the right deal for him. I don't think he had the right coach for the offensive line at the time. But the other thing is, the biggest thing that hurt him was being thrown into the fire right away. He was not a Marquise Pouncey ready to start week 1. And as we said, we wanted him to earn the job, not be by default. And he got that job by default. And it didn't pay off for that reason. So the Steelers might have some options even later that they want. Just imagine if the Steelers were able to grab somebody like Mims in the first round and SVPG later on. Then they're going to have with Broderick Jones and Darnell Washington. Let's just go with the big Georgia guys up front.
Gosh, they had the whole front office there. Like everyone was there. That says a lot. And then the majority of them also went to Clemson, and they were there at Clemson. Yeah. So for that pro day, it's going to be interesting stuff. Hey, I want to talk about a position, and we're going to keep going as we continue down the show. This may not be at top or near the top of the list, but anyone else feel like they still need another quarterback? Yes, Russell Wilson's going to be
Yes.
quarterback. I mean, you
Absolutely.
got Kenny Pickett. He's not going anywhere. You bring in Russell Wilson, 1-year deal, real cheap. Cheaper than what most people think, as Dave is finding out about Russell Wilson's contract.
Yeah, it is a veteran salary benefit contract, like I thought it might be, which means it only counts $985,000 against the salary cap. When you factor in the displacement at the time, it only changed the Steelers' salary cap $70,000.
I had a meeting today with someone from Seattle, and they said, "Hell, you're a Steeler guy. I see the terrible towel. What do you think about Russell Wilson?" I said, They could be an upgraded quarterback for $1.2 million, actually less than that. Yes, I like it.
Yeah.
But anyways,
because even if he's terrible, whoop-de-doo.
I feel like the Steelers always have forearms going into camp. Do they not?
Yeah, they
in
will.
terms of quarterbacks, they only have 2. I mean, call up Joshua Dobbs and say, "Hey, man, let's bring you in on a quarterback 3 contract." You're not toying around with these guys that I don't want. Nathan Peterman, is that the guy's name that played at Pitt? I think he
already signed somewhere.
Thank God.
Didn't he?
Anyway.
Yeah. I can't remember where, but he did somewhere.
Was the Lane's boss on Seinfeld?
Oh, yeah.
Jay Peterman.
Jay Peterman. That's what it is.
Yeah. He was awesome.
I can talk about that. One of my favorite episodes where he goes out to dinner with Jerry and George, and Jerry gets out of it, and George is stuck. "We shall dine together, George." I'm going to get the super chat here. $5 from Kyle Smith. The old $5 donation, as it's been a while. Any idea why the Steelers signed Johnston instead of All-Pro Tommy Townsend for the same money?
Wasn't the same money?
I didn't see any other contracts. He's talking about safety. We can switch and talk to safety if we want to get safety out of the way.
No, that was Punter.
Punter.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that
Johnston,
is right.
not Jackson.
Cameron.
Yeah.
Tommy Townsend, I did see he signed from us the same exact deal. So they like the Bill Burr lookalike, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone comment on the punter?
Australia, baby. Gotta have an Aussie in that mix. So Presley Harvin messed up the whole Aussie plans, so they had to go back to it.
They love the dingoes. Dave, any thoughts on the punter?
Yeah, I don't know. Over the cap still doesn't have that in there, but if it was the same price, my goodness. But I mean, he punted so well in the playoffs, and it was freaking cold in Kansas City. People were losing digits from the frostbite.
Oh my gosh, I heard about that.
My wife was asking me about that. I didn't hear it. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have known. So I mean, and he punted there, so it's not like you have to worry about is he only good in August, like what the Steelers had the last couple of years. I don't know why they fell in love so much with the guy from Houston, other than the fact that maybe they were just familiar with him coming out because he went to Ohio State. Not like they've been drafted a bunch of guys from Ohio State, because you've pointed that out, Jeff, and you're right. But they are familiar with him. Sometimes you just got to wonder what it is that they like. I mean, that was before. Kansas City picked up the punt god that after he was cleared from everything, and then that's why they didn't keep Townsend. So crazy.
Okay, enough punter talk. Let's talk about let's switch from quarter. Anyone thoughts on quarterback that I brought up?
I like Josh Dobbs. That works.
Okay,
don't draft one.
Yeah, there's a guy. I'm not going to mention his name, but he's played for a few teams. I love him.
Mr. Keenum?
Is Case Keenum? Is he available?
Is he a free agent?
He might be. He's always
you don't even know.
Always available.
Oh,
is he available?
Hold on.
I'm looking it up.
Let's see. Case Keenum is currently. Come on.
He was
probably not, but for the right money.
Tannehill's still out there. Case Keenum's not on this list. He's under contract somewhere.
You just make a play. You trade whoever you have to trade. Pickens,
because then didn't Hoyer sign somewhere else? That's another guy that's been everywhere.
Who's that?
Hoyer's listed as available.
Hoyer is available. He just
the
Raiders.
Okay, maybe he didn't sign. Maybe there was a whole thing where he was visiting somewhere where they thought he was going to sign. I remember seeing his name as someone was somewhere. I can't even get Case Keenum to come up here.
Hey, I'm with Brian Miswa. Call up Flacco.
No, he already
Flacco
signed.
signed with Indy.
He signed
When
with
did
Indy.
that happen?
Oh my gosh.
Yesterday
Okay.
Yeah.
or earlier.
They're
I can't.
flying like crazy.
They're
I
all.
don't know.
I see all these with the tracker article that I do. I can't remember which day it is the problem. The only reason I know today's Thursday is because I'm here with you guys.
Here's the list of available quarterbacks: Ryan Tannehill, Jimmy Garoppolo, Teddy Bridgewater, Tyler Huntley. Because Tyler Huntley was passed up by Baltimore. Baltimore signed that Johnson quarterback over him.
Yeah. And Case Keenum is still under contract in Houston.
Okay. Joshua Dobbs, Easton Stick, Nate Sudfeld, Blaine Gabbert, Carson Wentz, Kyle Allen, Trevor Siemian, AJ McCarron, Matt Barkley, and then Garrett Gill. I don't even know who these people are. Logan Woodside, Felipe Franks. That sounds made up. That sounds like Frank Webb's. That sounds like Frank's cousin, Frank Webb's cousin, Felipe Franks.
Felipe Frank.
I don't know that one. I got to admit, I've not heard that one.
Felipe Franks is 26, played with Atlanta last year. I need to look up more about Felipe Franks. Hold on. This is insane.
I remember Wilbar talking about Felipe Franks a couple years ago.
No, you.
Seriously, I do.
Felipe Franks, let's see his career earnings. He's earned $2 million in 3 seasons. He's earned more money than I'll see in my lifetime and done nothing. That's insane. I hate sports. Okay. Let's go to Todd Williams, $4.99. Hi, fellas. What are we going to do at safety? Draft or sign one? All right. Good point.
They signed one today.
We did. The Steelers signed one, Deshaun Elliott. He was, he's been on 3 different teams in his career with Baltimore, Detroit, and most recently Miami. He's been kind of injury plagued, especially early in his career, but coming off of back-to-back healthy seasons. The dude, if you want to check out a cool video, go to my Twitter feed and you'll see this hit that he had when he was in Baltimore on Derrick Henry. Oh my gosh. It was reminiscent of the torpedo taking out one Houston Oiler running back. I know Bryan knows the play that I'm talking about. That would be Hall of Famer Donnie Shell and Earl Campbell down in Houston. I thought
you were going to go Atwater Okoye or something like that.
I mean, go look at that video.
I haven't seen the video. You got to send it to me later.
It's on. Yeah, it's on my Twitter feed. I sent it out today. I mean, it is he came downhill and he was not shy about meeting Derrick Henry head on, and Derrick Henry got the worst of that. So, what do y'all think? That are they done at safety? Do you think, or do you think they continue to look? Dave, we'll start with you.
If they continue to look, then you're going to probably see a departure of KZ. I like DeMonte KZ as the third safety, not as one paired with Minkah Fitzpatrick. They also remember they signed another safety technically, but it's their special teams captain and Miles Killebrew, who is purely depth. Played more defense last year than he had since like 2017, just because the Steelers needed him to at times. So it's not like they don't have any depth there. The biggest thing with Deshaun, what's the last name again? Elliott. Is that he is more of a Terrell Edmonds type safety, although he can play everywhere. He could play. He's log snaps at free, at strong safety, and at slot. But it looks like he's going to be more of a strong safety, which would then, bottom line is he great? I don't know. But if he puts Minkah back where Minkah was the previous year, that's a big win in my book.
Okay. What about you, Bryan? What do you think?
You know what? I like the signing. I think it's one of those under the radar signings that not a lot of people think about. I remember going back to 2006 and being like, all right, who the heck is Ryan Clark? So there's guys we don't know who they are because we don't see a lot of these guys, but it's nice when you get to figure some things out. I think he's a good signing. I am not completely unconvinced. I believe he's lobbying right now that Patrick Peterson might not be back as a safety because he's definitely lobbying. If you saw his comments about how Joey Porter Jr. needs him. And so that's basically saying, hey, guys, bring me back. Do whatever you have to do.
If no one else signs him, bring him back as depth because you got depth at both spots then. You got depth across the secondary in case of emergency. You don't have to worry about someone knowing what to do and having the problem be communication or paralysis by analysis because you haven't got much playing time. To me, Patrick Peterson, if it's really cheap, he was just far too expensive for this year. That's just depth across the board.
Do you want the veteran minimum or do you want to go home and sit on the couch?
I mean, they could even, my goodness. I mean, maybe they could offer him more. I don't even know if they would, but that would still be better than what he might get otherwise.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. I sent that video to y'all in the Slack channel, so you have to go watch it right now as I talk so that you can see the hit on Derrick Henry. Because honestly, when you look back on Elliott's career, the one common theme is injuries. Can he stay healthy? If he can stay healthy, this guy is not going to shy away from contact. He is not going to be someone that is, and in the Dave just saw the tackle. You're watching the live chat. A lot of people are saying, "Hey, Patrick Peterson can't tackle. He doesn't want to tackle." No, not really. That's not his MO. This guy will tackle, and so I'm looking for more willing people. What do y'all think of that? Did you see it?
I have it. It's just not coming up.
No, that's
can't get it up.
That's honestly that hit reminds me of DeMonte.
Brian, I hope that's not what you say often, by the way.
Oh my goodness!
At this point, I'm 52. It wouldn't even matter, Jeff.
Yeah, he kind of hit his head and snapped it back. This obviously had to be at least 3 years ago.
That's a hell of a hit.
With the Ravens. It is honest, but it reminds me of the stuff of the DeMonte case he got suspended for.
Yeah.
If he does that same hit now, if he's not flagged, he's getting fined.
Also,
doing it to a running back is a whole different story as well.
Click on the link, Brian.
Oh, yeah, maybe I should try that. There we go.
Wait, is he Reginald? Wait.
Oh, here I'm about to see it.
Someone confirm
Real
that
time.
from Reginald Rivers.
Boom.
That says, was Deshaun who cracked Mahomes' helmet?
I'd have to look at that replay again. I'll look it up.
No, he was.
Dave, did you have another position?
Yes. Well, I'm glad you brought up safety because I'm like we said on both sides of the ball, so we should actually mention defense. I'd bring up defensive line, but I think it seems like the Steelers think more of Larry Ogunjobi than the fan base does. That's why he's still there, and they didn't try to upgrade that. I thought maybe they'd try to sign someone and then release him, but there was a lot of dead money there. I'm actually going to go cornerback because I don't know. The Steelers needed both an outside guy and a nickel, and they've really only addressed so far with one injury-prone guy that was going to be cut in Carolina that the Steelers traded for him instead.
And that was Elliott, by the way, that did crack Patrick
Yeah,
Mahomes.
other people were saying, good one, Reginald Rivers. I hadn't heard that.
Slick. All right. What about you, Brian? Any other positions?
Or do you want to talk about the one I said?
I wasn't listening. I
said cornerback.
Corner?
Yeah.
Well, here's my question about corner. So, yes, you get Dante Jackson. How did the Steelers as an organization value Darius Rush and Corey Trice is my question.
Are any of them slot guys?
Rush
that's
played
why
a little.
You need something else.
Yeah,
you need another one no matter what. Yeah.
And are they willing to draft a guy? I don't know. This is going to be interesting. And something Andrew Wilbar is saying in the live chat now is round 3. I think that's the earliest you would even entertain selecting a corner in this draft with all the other pressing needs that this team has. I'm fine. If they can find a slot corner, do you bring back Chandon Sullivan? Worst case scenario?
He wasn't terrible.
No, he wasn't terrible.
Especially as the year went on.
I don't know.
And then if the younger guys show that they can do it, then great.
Right.
But you need one more. You need one more. You can't go banking on a 7th round draft pick that got hurt the first contact in training camp last year, that he's going to come back and be the answer, or another guy that you chose to make a healthy scratch for the last 5 or 6 games of the season.
Did Eric Rowe get signed on a futures deal?
No,
he didn't. I'm looking right now. Wow.
Yeah.
He's still out there then.
He's out there.
There's still guys like, now is Trenton Thompson gone? I don't know if he's gone.
He's available.
No,
he's available.
No.
Okay, so
I thought he's still on the team.
He's
I'm
on a feature
checking.
deal. Let me check. I've got the
Trenton
list right here.
Thompson? No, he was hurt at the end of the year. So he was on IR. That's why he wasn't on the roster. Trenton Thompson's still on the roster for the Steelers.
Oh, he's on the 53. Okay, cool.
Yep.
I don't really think they're going to bring somebody major in because they have some guys that they're going to look at and they have no problem filling it. And they're also going to be looking at it in the draft. I would not be shocked if they still kick the tires on Justin Simmons. I know there were 3 teams that were really in the mix looking for him. Philadelphia is now saying that they're out. You just saw not Jacksonville, but Tennessee just spend a whole heck of a lot of money. So they're probably out. And if they can get him for the right price, they might get an opportunity to bring in Justin Simmons. I don't know. I don't know whether that's something they're going to do or not, but we'll see. I mean, they just brought in Deshaun Elliott. Is that something that they're looking at as, hey, there's no reason to bring in Simmons? I don't know, but remember how many week 2 free agency signings that Mr. Khan had last year. There were a lot. I mean, kept on bringing guys in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bryan, any other positions that you wanted to discuss?
We talked about wide receiver at the beginning of the show. I'm really thinking they've got to address that. I would not be surprised if they look at a tackle or a guard or a hybrid, like a Matt Filer, a Joe Haig type of guy. I know those guys aren't available. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying
just of that mold.
That type of, that hybrid, that guard and tackle. That, because remember, Mike Tomlin loves position flexibility.
Yes.
Jeff says that all the time. And, that's something that you can bring a guy like that in. You have, 2 for 1.
Well, but remember, they had Spencer Anderson as a rookie in uniform all 18 games. And apparently it sounds like the Steelers are high on tackle Dylan Cook as a prospect. So they could really like the young guys that didn't really get on the field last year simply because the Steelers remained pretty healthy last year as well.
I think they could braid in Fehoko this whole thing.
Yeah.
Bring in a guy that they're like, oh, hey, they've got this guy, and hardly use him because I don't think they're afraid of doing that. I think they look at quantity a lot. At least Omar Khan does.
Yeah. I still like Anderson to fill that role anywhere on the line. I like him, but not that the Steelers shouldn't sign someone like that. But if they did, it would really be probably on the cheap.
Yeah. All right. It's been a good discussion. Talked a lot about a lot of news. For those that are joining us live late, obviously we already talked about Montravius Adams signing a 2-year contract with the Steelers right before we hit live. So, this has been a great show. I've enjoyed this. Let's do some trivia. Bryan, you have some trivia, yes?
I have ridiculous trivia, but we're going to have some fun with it. So this will be really quick. So this is not a trivia question, but it's just a question for you guys. What are we going to call it if Russell Wilson throws a touchdown pass next year to a George Pickens?
Wilson
got the t-shirt ready. Think of The Rock. Do you like pie? 314. And today is March 14th.
I know. And I didn't even say it on Stat Geek, which was the perfect place to say it.
So speaking of pie, the Steelers had 2 players last year that started with P.I., of course, Pickett to Pickens, but this is National Pie Day, and people go to lemon meringue and chocolate silk and rum raisin and all different kind of pies. So the Steelers have had 2 guys in their career, one on the current roster, and if not on the current roster, still hanging around, was on the current roster last year. I believe he still is. That would go ahead and be pie guys with the first 3 letters in their name. The first one was a guy with the same surname back in 1945. I know Jeff would have answered that, but I'm going to steal his thunder. And and already say it, but who is the second guy that is more current? The pie guy.
I don't even understand the question.
Nah, me neither.
First three letters of his name, P-I-E.
P-I-E?
P-I-E. Who's your pie guy?
First name or last name?
Last name.
Jim. Pierre.
Thank you. I told you it was ridiculous trivia.
Yeah.
Your pie guy. And
Afton got it in the live chat before I did.
And Joe Pierre was an end from the University of Pittsburgh in 1945. There you go.
Jeff,
right.
you're going to be all about my trivia though.
Well, let's get this. Let me get this super chat up here. Urban Wedge gives us, I think that's a pound, 5 pounds. Yep. Sorry. I immediately go to Dumb and Dumber whenever I think it's a pound and I know it's English or something, just something to say like, good day, mate. Anyone else desperate for Tyler Boyd? I'm going to be crestfallen if he goes elsewhere. I blame Jeffrey Benedict highlighting the lack of leadership since Hines Ward. Crestfallen. That's a word that doesn't get used enough. Crestfallen. Yes. I should put that in an article.
You had to have crestfallen when the donation was 5 pounds.
That's right. Do you think I could somehow finagle that in an article tomorrow?
Crestfallen. I don't know. Wait, don't you? What was that? They would play that game on. I think it was on the Tonight Show or something where they would have.
They would have to
have a random word that they had to work into.
Athletes, yeah.
Yeah, that they would have to randomly work into their
like
interviews.
A press conference. Yeah, we have another super chat here. Big E Bronco. He gave us $10. He said one coach took a $25 million cap hit to get him out of the locker room. Another coach took an $85 million cap hit to get him out of the locker room. Russell Wilson's all about Russell Wilson. Hey, I know that Russell Wilson is all about Russell Wilson, Mr. Unlimited. But I will say that Pete Carroll, close, Sean Payton, hell no, they're not Mike Tomlin.
Yeah. Well, that's Pete Carroll, though, $25 million cap hit. But how many first-round draft picks did they get?
Oh, they got a hell of a deal.
I mean, they got an entire haul. So it's not like that's completely different.
I'm okay with the Broncos fan. I'm okay with the Broncos fan wanting him to fail. I hope the Broncos fans at least realize why the Steelers signed him. He only cost them $1 million.
You're paying for him.
A 1-year deal
for him to play in Pittsburgh.
Sean Payton never wanted Russell Wilson in the first place. And by the way, Sean Payton's kind of a wang. He's also a guy who lost an entire 8 games of his career or a whole year of his career because he was helping perpetrate bounties on the rest of the league. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say I'm not all about Sean Payton, even though Kevin James played him in a Netflix movie. You know, I don't care. I mean, I don't really think that he is that great of a guy. They made a mistake when they signed him without even seeing him play a game when they extended him. That's what Bronco fans are angriest enough about. The big thing about Russell Wilson here, though, you have a situation where when he sat down with Mike Tomlin, they talked about football, then they bonded on a personal level. And Mike Tomlin is the kind of coach that players want to play for. Sean Payton is the guys that players get paid to take out other players.
And so remember, Steelers fans, remember all this. This is true. You can't say that Russell Wilson didn't have these things going on. But remember, if it becomes a problem in Pittsburgh and they release him, it costs them nothing. Nothing.
Yeah.
It's all upside, no downside. Raised the bar at the quarterback position. That's what it was.
What movie or special did Kevin James play Sean Payton?
Yeah.
It was a couple years ago. I saw it about 2 years ago in Netflix. It was a movie about Sean Payton in his year off coaching middle school football.
Huh.
And his son. I forget. I'll get what it's called.
Okay. All right, Dave, your trivia time. Go ahead.
Okay, this is a lot. This is a lot. I told you guys. I warned you.
I'm
We're playing a
mentally ready
game.
for this.
We're playing a game, and this all comes down to on the day before I left on vacation. I actually used the word that time, Jeff, because usually I say that I'm on location
The
because
drinking
of
game.
the drinking game. But the day before I left to be on location, I should have been getting ready. But instead, I spent about an hour and 10 minutes on Ben Roethlisberger's birthday watching every regular season pass he threw in his career that they had on Steelers.com. Did either of you guys watch that?
No, I lived it.
did.
I don't need to
I
watch
did.
him again.
I did. And I was like, oh, I was there for that one. Oh, I mean, I never saw the touchdown pass to Plexico Burress against the Ravens in 2004 on TV because I was there. And that was before, I didn't have DVR or anything at the time. So that was the first time I saw it on television. So that was nice. But that got me thinking about, well, first of all, I'm like, I should watch this again, but I'd have another hour and 10 minutes and just count the number of play action passes, all those touchdowns, play action pass. It was great. But the other thing I was thinking about was all these players he was throwing passes to. So I decided, let's look up the players that Ben Roethlisberger threw touchdown passes to, and I included the postseason. I'm going to give you guys two names, and you're going to tell me who caught more touchdown passes from Ben Roethlisberger. Okay? I don't care if you guys want to both go at the same time. Whoever answers first, I'm going to count them right or wrong, and I've got 20 matchups. 20 matchups. But I'm going to give you a really, really, really easy one to start so you understand how this works. Who caught more touchdown passes from Ben Roethlisberger? Antonio Brown or Ladarius Green?
Antonio Brown.
Now I'm going to let Jeff do this. I did a yard barker quiz yesterday on every single player that Ben Roethlisberger threw a touchdown to. And
But do you know how many?
Yeah, they were on there.
How many touchdowns? Okay. So let Jeff answer first, and then you will say, if you can remember.
I'll say yes, yeah. Ben Roethlisberger to Antonio Brown and Ben Roethlisberger to Ladarius Green?
Yeah. Who did he throw more touchdowns to?
Antonio Brown.
Thank you. That's what Jeff said. That was supposed to. So every one of these is who he threw more to. Okay. Who did he throw more touchdowns to? Hines Ward or Heath Miller?
Hines Ward.
But it was really close. 47 for Ward, for 45 for Miller.
Yep.
Okay. Juju Smith-Schuster or Mike Wallace?
Juju.
Mike Wallace.
That would be Mike Wallace was 30. Juju was 23.
Ooh.
Okay. Deontay Johnson or Martavis Bryant?
DJ.
I think it's DJ, but I'm going to go Bryant because some reason I'm thinking Bryant.
Bryant was 17. Deontay Johnson was 16.
Oh,
so it was Martavis Bryant. Okay. Santonio Holmes or Jericho Cotchery?
Santonio.
Cotchery.
Cotchery was 13. Holmes was 20.
Oh, okay.
So Jeff got that one. Okay, so here we go. Okay, Emmanuel Sanders or Chase Claypool? Touchdown passes. That's important.
Claypool.
I'm going to go Sanders with 11.
Sanders had 11. Claypool had 12.
Oh,
it's Claypool. Yeah. Okay. This is fun. Okay.
He had 9 his rookie year, I think.
Yeah, but two of them were rushing, weren't they?
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, let's go with the Washingtons. James Washington or Nate Washington?
Nate.
Yeah, I was gonna say Nate.
You are correct. It was Nate with 11. James had 8. Speaking of James, Jesse James or Le'Veon Bell?
Le'Veon Bell.
Bell had 7. How many would have? I think Bell had 7.
Remember, this includes postseason.
Okay, then let's go Bell then.
Okay. Even if you don't count the one that he really caught against the Patriots, Jesse James still had him by 1, 9 versus 8.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So Plexico Burress versus Antoine Randall L. Remember, Burst was only around early.
Yeah, but Randall didn't play with Ben that long.
Neither was both of them were not there that long. But Burst came back.
Plex.
Bryan?
But you know what? I'm actually going to go Plex as well. Randall had 2 years with Ben, but Plex was a big guy that rookie year. So
yeah,
I think he only had
and he had one more when he came back.
Yeah, that's right.
So remember that. So it was Plexico Burst. He had 7 where Randall only had 4 touchdowns for Ben Roethlisberger. He had a cut, but then he had them from Hines Ward when Ben Roethlisberger was quarterback, but that doesn't count. Okay, here you go. Willie Parker versus Marcus Wheaton.
I'm going to say Wheaton.
You are both correct. It was Wheaton had 7 to Parker's 5. Okay. Matt Spaeth versus Vance McDonald.
I'm going to go Vanimal.
I am actually going to go Spaeth.
Matt Spaeth had 7. Vance McDonald had 5.
Oh.
It was Spaeth with the longevity there. Okay. Eli Rogers or Eric Ebron?
Eli Rogers.
Yeah. Ebron, I think, only had 1 or 2, so I'm going Eli.
Eli Rogers had 4. Eric Ebron had 7.
What? Wow.
Yes. Remember his last reception, his last play in the NFL was a touchdown against the Chargers.
Yeah.
Then he got hurt. Okay. Some of these were a little bit tougher to find a matchup. Pat Freiermuth or Merwelde Moore from Ben Roethlisberger.
I'm actually going to go Freiermuth.
Yeah, I was going to say St. Muth.
It is Muth. He had 7 from Ben, where Moore only had 4. Okay. I'm going to say it wrong. Jeremy Tooman. It was Jeremy, right?
Yep.
I can't read my writing. Versus Cedric Wilson.
I like Tooman for this one.
I'll be different and say Cedric Wilson.
It was Tooman had 4, where Wilson had 3. Okay, we're getting down into some smaller numbers now. All right. Najee Davenport or Rashard Mendenhall?
I'm going to go with Dookie just so I can say Dookie.
Yeah, I'm going with the dump truck too.
Huh?
Who's Dookie?
That's not.
You don't know about that?
God, no.
Whoa! You don't know why he's called Dookie or the dump truck?
I got you now. Yeah, I got you now. Okay, I just couldn't remember who it was. Yes, you were correct. Dookie had 3 and Mendenhall only had 2. Okay. Jay Reamersma or Xavier Grimble?
Reamersma had 3 or 4. So I'm going to say he had more than Grimble. Grimble should have had 1 more against
I was going to say the
Denver.
playoff game against Denver. Yeah. I'll go with Reamersma too.
He had 2 and Grimble had 3. Grimble had more.
Wow.
Yeah, I tried to get some tough matchups. Some of them I tried to make easy. All right. Najee Harris versus Isaac Redman.
I got to go Redman.
I'll go with Najee Jerome Harris.
Najee had 3 and Redman had 2.
Wow.
Yay.
Okay. James Conner or Jalen Samuels?
I'm going to say Jimmy C.
Jalen.
So then Bryan gets this one. Jalen had 3. James Conner only had 1 receiving touchdown from Ben.
Oh,
I love Jimmy C, by the way.
We got 2 more.
I love these nicknames I'm bringing back because I remember all of these.
Yep.
Jimmy
But this is
C.
the trivia Jeff can do. This is great.
When have you fought Jimmy C? Who was it that fought Jimmy? I think Dave fought Jimmy C when we brought it up.
I don't even remember. All right, here we go because we're past our time. Sammy Coates or Lance Moore?
Lance Moore only had 1.
Coates. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't Lance Moore's only touchdown a throw from Antonio Brown?
No, it had to come from Ben Roethlisberger.
I know. Did he have any?
Then he had 2 then because he had 1 from Ben.
He had 1 from Ben and Sammy Coates. I saw both of them. They were both in the same game. And then he mangled his hand. It was never the same. And he dropped
the Jets, wasn't it?
Against, and he dropped another one in that game first before he got a second one. Okay. Last one. Justin Hunter or Darius Hayward Bay?
I'm going to go DHB.
It is DHB. I know that for a fact.
DHB had 2, where Hunter just had 1. So
Training camp, Justin Hunter. Man, everyone thought that guy was going to be the guy. Nope. No, he wasn't. All right. Is that it, Dave?
that is it. And the winner with 70% was one Bryan Anthony Davis. He got 14 to Jeff's 12.
Nice.
Well, that's still very close.
Yes, very close, very close. I thought that was fun.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right. Let's do some final thoughts.
You didn't have to put your answers in the live chat, but if you were going along, how many? If anybody beat Bryan, let us know.
Yeah. All right, Bryan.
Do we have
some final
super
thoughts.
Chat?
Oh, we do have a super chat. I'll get to it for my final thoughts. Go ahead, Bryan.
Okay.
All right. So my final thoughts are simple. They're not done. This is not your daddy's Pittsburgh Steelers. It is not your grandfather's Pittsburgh Steelers. Remember, do not diminish the 20 plus great years of Kevin Colbert, but this is a different NFL. Towards the end of Kevin Colbert's career, he started to do things a little bit different. So this is not to say that anybody's doing it any better, but Omar Khan fits the new NFL and fits the 21st century this deep into it. So all I'm going to say is they have the right man. And when you see the deals that Patrick Queen got, you see how they organized the whole Russell Wilson thing, which I think a lot of that was out of spite. I think you're going to see that it really means something to have the money man as your general manager that actually knows how to scout players too. Remember, I think he was a GM or an assistant coach in The Dark Knight Rises. Mike drop.
He was. All right, Dave, final thoughts?
Final thoughts is right now, people are like, oh, free agency, the frenzy and everything else. Next big thing is the draft. That is true. Excited about the draft. I like that the draft is scheduled. So it's not Jeff and I sitting around all day waiting for news to drop, knowing that it's going to happen. You just don't know when. But I'll tell you this. I have a feeling next Thursday when we're back here talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers, their draft needs will probably be different than what they are right now because of what the Steelers are going to do in free agency. It's exciting. It's fun. I always have, I try to throw a little bit of caution to it to stay cautiously optimistic, but I have all kinds of optimism with players the Steelers bring in, especially like I said, when Jeff and I did the Break News podcast for Patrick Queen. I like that the Steelers like him enough to go get him. That's the biggest thing that I like. I'm going to say this, what I said in the live chat and everything last night when it comes to quarterback. I want the Steelers quarterback to be great this year, and I don't care who it is. I just want to see great quarterback play. So buckle up. We're starting to shape up this team, and it's going to be even different next week.
Let's get the super chat here. Dennis Pavlak gives us $5. Thank you very much. He said Wilson is the NFL scratch-off lottery ticket. Buy it and see what happens. Yeah, for sure. I like that.
Hey, he's the dollar ticket rather than get one of those $10 ones.
Yeah.
That's what's nice about that. Yeah.
Over under 3.5. The bet is outside free agents signed before next Steelers preview, not counting who's already been signed. Over under
3.5 outside.
Outside.
Ooh.
Doesn't count your own.
Over.
Under 3.
All right. Jeff's the house. He's not betting, so we'll see who wins next week. All right. This is very good. Thank you all for a great show. Thanks for all the people that participated live in the live chat. Dave, why don't you send us out?
Hey.
We'll see you next week on another Steelers preview. Take it easy.
Network. Get it.
Everybody else gets a little tight.